Hello, Leo. Welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. If Leo is your sun, moon, or rising sign, this is your tarot card reading. Remember to hit the like button, leave a comment, consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. These readings are totally free. If there is anything you would like me to pray over, or meditate upon, or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Now, this is a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I provide. And remember, Leo, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. We got a Knight of Pentacles. You're someone I feel like is kind of, you're looking at the long-term goals, right? The Knight of Pentacles is looking at the mountain. Can we see the summit of the mountain right now? No, not really. It may be right now that you're hard at work toward your goals, and it may be that we're experiencing some resistance and we're kind of looking at the situation and thinking, I can't really see it anymore. I can't see the long-term outcomes. I feel like you're somebody who's very persevering. I feel like you have a vision of the future. You know what you want to see up there at the summit of the mountain, right? Your long-term goals, who you are, where you are, what you're doing farther down the road, right? But it may be that right now we don't really see the signs that we're approaching it, right? Maybe we have these goals in mind, but we're not sure what the next steps are, okay? The Knight of Pentacles will see the vision of the future, will sort of reverse engineer it, right? Work backwards, kind of unpack the thing, and figure out the steps that we need to take to get there, okay? And every so often, we have to sort of stop and, get our bearings again, or we stop and kind of check our progress, right? We have to sort of stop and triangulate once in a while to make sure that, okay, we're still getting there. If we're 1 degree off course, right, we'll end up thousands of miles from home. So I feel like you're in this period now where you're kind of like maybe feeling a little bit stuck, maybe feeling like we've strayed from the proper course a little bit. And we're trying to see the top of the mountain again to sort of gauge, like, what do I do now? Am I doing the right thing? I feel like we have questions, yeah? And I feel like this card is, we're kind of pausing to ask those questions. We're pausing to check in with our vision and make sure that our vision is still kind of matches up with reality, so we can get the kind of maybe reassurance, right? To keep moving forward in this particular direction, whatever your mountain is that you're climbing, right? And the mountain is literally anything, any goals that you have. Could be physical, financial goals, mental, emotional, spiritual, creative goals. Okay? There's somewhere that you want to go, and right now we see, it feels like we're taking a pause to say, am I going in the right direction to get that? Do I still want it? And am I still on course to get there? Okay? Let's put this card into a little bit of context. This is a very motivated card, right? We're going to use our Dove and Serpent spread. There's the 7 of Pentacles, showing that there is a little bit of darkness as we look forward. Okay. We have the 6. Yes, the 6 of Cups underneath. Queen of Pentacles in the past, and the Knight of Pentacles in the present. So this one is looking at the past. This one is trying to recapitulate the past. Okay. We have the Hanged Man, and we have a 4 of Swords. 4 of Swords seems like a very easygoing way forward. It's kind of in a way the 4 of Swords is not offering much resistance. That we're not trying to get too stressed out or too worked up about it. It's kind of like Spirit's way of saying, just put your mind at ease, keep going. Okay, just continue to persevere. You'll get through this blockage. I wonder if the 7 of Pentacles feels like there's some kind of an obstacle in your way right now, or if there's something that is happening in your life that's making you question whether or not this is still your path, and how efficiently you're progressing toward your goals. Okay, Let's do the path of the serpent, and then we will get into another cups. 2 of cups, very good. But the 7 of cups in the environment, or in the relationships with the environment, right? So there is the 7 and the 7. There's this feeling of being stuck in the mud. This much water, this much earth, and it's going to create a little bit of mud, you know? But we've got the lovers. And finally, we have the Princess of Swords. So the Princess of Swords is not sure of anything. Okay, we think the Knight of Pentacles is sort of standing there trying to get the assessment, trying to reverse engineer it, trying to look at the future and work the way backwards and figure out the plan. And then we have a perfect GPS system set up, our coordinates, our map. We've sort of plotted the course perfectly, right? We've printed out all the MapQuest directions, and we know exactly what to do, and everything's fine, right? No, the Princess of Swords is saying, I don't know what I'm doing. The secret is none of us know what we're doing. Nobody has a plan. We think we have a plan. The people that have a plan are the ones that kind of get really, really surprised by life, you know? Because it really is about the kind of ongoing assessment of what we're doing, to continually check in with our intuition, with how we're feeling, with what is happening around us, and what are the signs that we're witnessing that will tell us, okay, maybe I need to shift a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right, to get back to 0 degrees north, to get up that mountain. Maybe I'm getting kind of 1 or 2 degrees off course. Well, let's bring it back, okay? It's not that we have any kind of concrete pathway leading us to our goals. Each of us have a path that is unique. Okay? It may feel like, well, other people have done it before. Other people have built a YouTube channel, or other people have written a book. Other people have, made music or worked their way up the corporate ladder. Other people have become successful in their own way. And I kind of want to do that same thing too, right? But your path is going to be very different. And the Princess of Swords is allowing us, to me, this is the best outcome. Because this feels like we're giving ourselves room to fail, to fall down, to stumble, to have obstacles, and not be ruined by them. Okay, so this is a really important card here. Let's select the mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot. This is the factor infinite and unknown. We're going to set it over here with Tiny Bob Ross right on top. Happy little Bob. Happy little card. We're not going to look at that card until the very end, but it will tie everything together. It will give us the confirmation that we need at the end of the reading. If at any point during this message you feel like you might know what that card is, please put your prediction in the comments down below. Now, as we look around the room, we see a couple of major arcana cards, and those really tell the story, right? We have the suffering, the surrender, the sacrifice for the sake of this union, for the sake of this quest that you're on, right? This is the Lover's card, and it is all about choice, right? And I think it's in the position of the obstacle or the difficulty right now, or the fear. And your fear may be summed up as, I'm afraid I made the wrong choice. I'm afraid that this maybe isn't really what I'm supposed to do because I'm not good at it right now, or because I've had a setback, or because I've tripped and fallen, because I'm not as good as everybody else, because there's some kind of little f failure going on, right, with this card. But it doesn't mean that you're not on the right path. So I feel like this is the difficulty here is to reaffirm the commitment, the necessary work, I think, the obstacle, the river we have to cross, is to say, look, I am still 1,000% heck yes committed to this. Okay, and maybe this is really what we have to what we're pausing to ask ourselves. We have to know how to answer that question truthfully, though, authentically. Because if I fall down riding my bike, I might say, no, I don't want to ride a bike anymore. My daughter does that. She's 5 years old. She stumbles. She has an obstacle, or she doesn't fully succeed at something right away, and she might say, I hate this. I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to do jujitsu. I don't want to ride. I hate my bike, And that's not really, that's not an authentic kind of choice there, because 10 minutes later Daddy, can we ride the bike again? You know, so we have to be careful of how we're making this decision. We can't be inside of the mud. We can't be in here, because then, yeah, of course, we're going to say, I don't want to do it anymore. We make the decision when we are peaceful and we are kind of sober-minded, level-headed, and clear thinking, and we can say, is this my path? Yes, it is. And I know that these obstacles are going to be there. I'm going to fail sometimes. I'm going to stumble. I'm going to trip. I'm not going to be the best ever right off the bat. You know? Anybody who has accomplished any kind of goals has been through that period of time where they're kind of struggling, even struggling with their own belief, their own faith in their choice to do this, to become this person, to follow this path. Okay? So I like that we have that card, because it's kind of acknowledging the Hanged Man. It's saying, yeah, for the sake of this 1,000% yes commitment, you're going to have to sacrifice and suffer a little bit. Sometimes we're suffering a sore ego or our pride, you know. We don't have any fire. Okay? And I think that's kind of, that's what we need right now, because it feels like the motivation's kind of low. Because in these two cards, this is earth, heavy energy, right? The earth is slow. The earth is heavy. It doesn't change quickly. Our thoughts go a mile a minute, right? But the earth tends to be a little bit slower. You know, our bodies, right, can't always get. That's why we trip over our words a lot, because our mind is going so fast. My lips can't get the words out as quickly as my mind does, right? And that's why sometimes I'll cram words together. You probably do that too. You probably are thinking so fast that your body can't keep up with it. And then, well, something like a 7 will happen. You'll trip over your words. You'll stumble over your feet, or it's your will, your mind, your heart maybe even are moving so fast that your body can't keep up with it. And now you'll be watching every reading I do to see when I stumble over my words or cram them together and make a new word, which is always fun. So there's no fires. I feel like we need the motivation back. You know, and maybe this is just a time where we have to calm down from this kind of little f failure and realize that it happens. This is normal. This is expected. This is part of the obstacle is the way. This is how we learn. This is how we grow. This is a necessary part of this path. And then once we kind of recover, like, my daughter did 5 or 10 minutes after falling off the bike, she says, all right, let's go again. We have to kind of get over the soreness of it first, and then I think we'll be right back in the saddle. Yeah. We need the fire. High hopes for the mystery card. Bob Ross, don't let us down. We have water, for sure. Water, water, water. Even the Hanged Man is pure water. Baptism, right? We've got air. Yeah, we've got 1, 2 air cards, which that, to me, is perfect, too. Because I don't feel like you're going through that period of time where you're like, I hate it. I don't want to do it anymore. I don't feel like I don't feel like you have that much resistance. I feel like you're trying to calm down because you're not going to quit. So the fire energy is calmed down. We're not being reactive. We're not being impulsive. We're letting the energy mellow. We're letting it mellow. And then I think we're going to move forward with a very level head, sober mind, and we're going to say, do I still want to do this? Is this still my path? Do I still see the alignment here with my soul? Do I feel the intuition telling me that this is correct and right? What is my body telling me? What are the signs and symbols around me telling me? What is my heart telling me? Okay, and then we will continue on, So we have then, obviously, we have the air, we have earth, and earth cards right now, because I feel like there was momentum going this way. There was steady progress, and then there was a 7 of Pentacles. The Knight of Pentacles is looking up at the top of the mountain and can't see it right now. All you can see is this challenge before you, or the struggle, or the disappointment, or the disconnect, or the stumbling block. All we can see is our own face in the mat, right? And so, yes, of course, we're not going to be able to see the summit of the mountain because we're like face down in the dirt because we tripped over our feet or over a root in the ground or something, right? Our foot kind of tripped over a rock, and we had this little F failure. And the little F failure, we don't want to assume it's a big F failure, right? It's saying, well, I planted these seeds didn't grow. Well, then I guess I'm not a gardener. I guess I'm not meant for this. Right? And this is, I think, a natural human response where we would tend to say, I'm giving up on this. I quit. I'm obviously not good at it. Somebody comes up to you and says, let's say your best friend comes up to you and says, hey, I want to be a writer, but I'm just so bad at writing. I don't feel like writing is really what my thing. I don't feel like I should do it. And then you say, well, let me see some of your writing. Let me see like your work. Let me see what you've done. Let me see this bad writing, And they say, well, I don't have any. I'm bad at it. I don't have anything written, because I'm no good at writing. And it's like, didn't I just tell you that, And it's impossible for us to judge how we're doing and whether we're meant for something if we're not willing to kind of go through these challenges and to persist despite these challenges. You got to write the bad writing. You got to write a ton of bad poetry to decide if you're a poet or not, or to even if you feel like in your heart you are, but somehow it's junk on the paper. You got to keep doing it. And you don't want to give up on that. So when we encounter the Seven of Pentacles, this has to be almost a blessing because it says, okay, I've written something else now. I've done something. I have something else, kind of under my belt. And it's in the books, so to speak. And now I can use that as a tool. I can analyze it. I can gauge it. I can look at it. I can assess. I can weigh. I can learn from that. And that's exactly what our Princess of Swords is doing. Learning from the mistakes, learning from the errors, learning from the stumbling, learning from how I was riding the bike and I fell over. Okay, well, what does that tell me? Well, maybe I don't try to take the corners at that sharp of an angle when it's raining out and the streets are wet, which I did when I was like 10 years old. I'd skinned up my knee real bad. And then I learned, okay, obviously, don't take the corners that fast and lean the bike that far over when it's wet on the road. And that's you learn something, right? And I think if we're doing that, then we have this Princess of Swords at the end that's saying, I'm allowing myself to recover and learn from my mistakes. I don't want to make mistakes. Nobody does, right? Because they're mistakes. They're challenging. I feel embarrassed. I feel the ego. I feel the pride kind of taking a hit. I don't want that. I want glory. I want to bask in the sunshine of what I'm doing, right? Well, to get to that glory, we have to be willing to be the student, and that's what this card is about usually. Under the surface, you've got your Six of Cups. Six of Cups is love, pleasure, connection, community, okay? I feel like you're somebody who, you do value what other people feel about you. You don't value what other people think necessarily. I don't care what people think, but you care how people value you and how you value other people. I feel like you have a lot of quality people in your life. I feel like you're always trying to bring people together. You're the one that tries to organize like the lunch or the family dinners and things like this, right? Because you want to show people that you do value their existence. And not for what they can give you or what they can do for you, but just the fact that they're there and they're who they are, right? Valuing someone's existence is a lot more important to you than valuing what they bring to the table, right? This is a Six of Cups, not a Six of Pentacles. Six of Pentacles is like it's a potluck, we're all bringing a dish over, But this is kind of a spiritual potluck where everybody's bringing their own unique spirit to the table for you. And I feel that this is a lot of love. You have this sense of community, like you really feel like you belong in your life and you belong where you are. I feel like you have a nice network of love in your life. Yeah, I feel like you send out a lot of good vibes in your life. You send out a lot of love. You send out a lot of gratitude, and I feel like it comes back to you. That's not why you're doing it. Right? It's not transactional, but I feel like the more you radiate that love, the more you feel that love in return. It feels like the universe is giving you a big hug, especially when you meet with the Seven of Pentacles. We want to kind of feel that big hug and not feel the judgment from people. Like, you fall off your bike, you kind of look around and make sure no one saw you. I feel like you don't have that kind of worry in your life because you're very supportive of yourself. And I feel like you're surrounded with a lot of very supportive people, okay? And I like this card. I think this card's also showing an inner joy, almost a pleasure in what you're doing. Even when we're meeting with the Seven of Pentacles, you've got joy and love in your heart. And I think that's fantastic. You've got the perfect cards here. Some of them look challenging, but this is demonstrating how good you are at dealing with challenges. Okay? Despite this failure, we're not being reactive. We don't see the fire energy here. We're not in this kind of impulsive and conflict kind of energy. We're pausing. We're feeling the love inside of our heart. We're being kind to ourselves. And other people are being kind to us as well, right? I feel that's a very important part of your life is your connection with other people. But we're being kind to ourselves, and we still have joy in our heart. We're still saying, you know what? I'm okay. I love myself. I accept that this is part of the path, and I'm still going to choose to have fun. I'm still going to choose love and choose joy. It's not fun to fail. It's not fun to stumble, to have a Seven of Pentacles. But it's not making me feel any kind of way about myself. Obviously, I don't want to have done this, but I still love myself just the same. We're not equating our work with our worth, right? So we're not judging ourselves. We're not saying, I'm a failure. This is me. This isn't down here beneath the surface, right? It's not down here. This is just something that we're dealing with, but it doesn't affect your value in life. The value of your existence. Okay, and I think that is super duper important. Super duper. The past, right? The Queen of Pentacles. The Queen's always looking at the past to try to understand where we've been, how we got here. Who we are today is a result of every thought, word, and deed from age 0 to whatever age you are right now. You know, I am today years old as a result of every choice I've ever made, right? The Queen is looking back at that long and winding road, the ups and downs, the twists and turns, right? The obstacles and the path, the emotional roller coasters, right? The ups and downs, the twists and turns. The twists and turns of fate. Yeah, and those roller coasters of emotions that we tend to experience from the time we are born to the time we are today. And then tomorrow too, let's not forget. And that's part of our Knight of Pentacles, right? Looking into the future. And looking into the future and realizing that this may be an obstacle today, but there may be many more obstacles. Now, there's a slight possibility that you haven't even begun this path yet. And we're just hesitating before the beginning. We're at the base of the mountain looking up and thinking, oh gosh, there's going to be a lot of challenges. I'm going to fall down a lot of times. It's like when I go and I think about maybe I'll do jujitsu. Be like, I'm going to fall down a lot of times. I'm going to be face down in the dirt quite often. Am I okay with that? Okay, so you might be at that point too, where it's just like we're anticipating the little F failures, and we're trying to zen out and be okay with them, and then we're going to get going, and we're going to continue, forward on this journey. So it doesn't matter exactly where in the path you are, but the fact that we're looking at the little F Seven of Pentacles failures, and we're coming to terms with this, and we know this is part of the path. Now, looking at the past, I think you're able to see all of your choices from the past. You're able to see how every choice you've ever made has led you to this moment. And I think you're beginning to get this sense of destiny. Yeah. I think it's this sense of, I may not have known it at the time, but everything that has ever happened to me, everything I've ever said or thought or done, everything that's ever happened to me, right, or through me or in the world around me, whatever you want to say, everything has been nudging me to right here. Okay. And it almost feels as if there's been something inside of you that's been kind of nudging you, pushing you this way and this way. And we don't know why that happens. Sometimes it's big tower moments, right? So the Queen of Pentacles is looking back, like I said, over the twists and turns, the ups and downs of life. What are those twists and turns and ups and downs? Tower moments. Exclamation points. Those are the significant, salient points in our life that we remember. Those are the stories that we tell. Those are the waypoints along the way, the little dots on the map, that signify important events in our lives. for better or for worse. Usually, when we're in the middle of a tower moment, we think this is the worst thing that could possibly happen. But then we see how every tower moment has shifted us into a different direction, or brought us up, or brought us down, or whatever it was, right? Kind of nudges us in a particular way, maybe shoves us sometimes, right? But the tower events are the exclamation points, the moments that we will remember. There's the stories we're going to tell our kids' kids, and our friends' kids. So the Queen is looking at those and understanding the reason, the importance, the significance of the events in our lives. Okay, and I think that is giving you that vision of the future. That's saying, okay, I know that this is the right path for me. I know that this is meant for me, and I'm confident. I think you have that Four of Swords because it is it's a mind that is choosing to not worry, choosing to quiet down the mind. Maybe this is box breathing, right? The 4-4-4-4 breathing. Maybe this is getting centered, right? Maybe this is creating space, creating stillness in our lives. Maybe this is meditation, right? Sometimes that's what this card is, meditation. And I think that this is an ongoing practice, the Four of Swords. And this is going to be very important for you to always be involved in that practice. Make it a habit, right? Make it a habit to find stillness, to have these moments where we can just sit quietly and breathe. Bring our attention back to center, not get lost in the mud in our thoughts and feelings and in our physical lives, to take time, intentional time, even if it's 5 minutes a day before we start our day, just a few minutes to get centered, to bring our thoughts back to what is really important to us, and we get a clarity for the day, and then we start the day. Okay. This is also, like I said, a card that is choosing to not stress out. We need stress reduction. Okay. Because when we have a 4, it's basically implying that the 5 is looming just outside somewhere, right? And so we've got to fortify our mind, our inner kind of psyche, in order to resist all the stressful things. A 7 of Pentacles, yeah, that's stressful, right? But the way forward for you is to stress reduce. Find ways that you can, through healthy choices, right? Breathing exercises according to your capacity. Check in with your doctor first. Meditation. I think having a mindfulness practice is fundamental to dealing with stress. It allows us to recover from stress. It's not about eliminating stress. You think of somebody who meditates and they're just always zenned out, right? No, it's not what meditation is. Meditation is the practice of bringing our thoughts back to center. It's not about being perfect. It's not about being good at it even. It's just about the practice of doing it. I get stressed out. How do I bring myself back to a calm, relaxed state? Maybe this is breathing, or literally meditating, sitting crisscross applesauce and focusing on the breath or the tip of the nose or something, or a mantra or a spot on the wall. It doesn't matter. Maybe it's a walk out in nature. Maybe it is listening to some music quietly, whatever we do to help us sort of get that stress out of our system. And I think that if we make it a habit, we make it a practice, and we do more than one thing too, I think that over time we'll see that we recover from stressful situations much more quickly. We're always going to get a 5 of Swords. That is like the one fact of life, right? Stress. It's the one thing we all have in common. We're all stressed about stuff. And it's important that we have a practice of bringing that to a manageable level. Okay. And I think that's the way forward for you anyway. The Hanged Man at the top is, of course, the surrender, the flow, right? Yielding to the flow state. Maybe this is why we don't have any fire energy, because we're not actively trying to do anything. We're sort of going with the flow. It's all about flow states these days. You know what I mean? It's not any kind of assertiveness necessarily. It's setting things up to where I can flow through this situation like water. I can get through it smoothly, calmly, and cool, right? And with less, I don't know, sort of collateral damage or less, well, the least amount of stress, right? The least amount of friction. Somebody who is going with the flow is not swimming against the current, not trying to cut across the river, but just going with the current. Okay, so it's kind of like, okay, if I fall down in jiu-jitsu, I'm not gonna cause more friction by getting upset about it and lamenting it and weeping and wailing, as it were. I'm gonna go with the flow. I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna calm myself down if I need to. I'm gonna breathe and whatever I need to do, and I'm gonna get right back into things. So we're trying to live our life in a way where there is the least amount of friction. Doesn't mean there's gonna be no obstacles. Doesn't mean there's gonna be no friction and no stress. Remember, this is how we manage stress, how we deal with it. And I think the Hanged Man, this surrender, is kind of saying, I know that life's going to be stressful. I know that there are things outside of me that I cannot change, and I have to be okay with that. I have to figure out a way to sort of make that part of the process. Yeah. And so we're accepting it. You know, change the things you can change, accept the things that you can't. Well, I'm accepting it. This is, the Hanged Man really is an exercise in letting go, choosing peace instead of drama, right? That we're acquiescing to some things in the universe that we can't control. And again, we have no fire energy right now. I feel like we're not trying to control anything necessarily. We're trying to accept the nature of this path that we're on. And that must mean that we feel very, very adamant that this is our way. 1000% yes. Now, Path of the Serpent, 2 of Cups. I know this video is getting long. I apologize. I appreciate you sticking around to the end. Now, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. These readings don't cost you anything, okay? The 2 of Cups, this love, this is an urge to merge. This is kind of like, I feel that I'm not myself if I'm not with this thing. I want this more than anything in the world, right? And it doesn't matter what obstacles I have to go through. I have this in my heart. This is a yearning, burning desire in our souls, right? And this, of course, is motivating us to say, heck yes, 1000% yes to this. Okay? So you know what this thing is. And this is that particular path. You're going to be a writer or a photographer. You want to change the world through your art or your music or your dance or your YouTube channel, or you want to reach a point where you have financial stability, or you're trying to learn a sport, you're trying to ride a bike, you're trying to do a stamp collection. It doesn't matter what it is, but this is the love in your heart. This is your general energy that I almost, like, in a sense, like I feel incomplete if I'm not living this path, because that's how much I feel that this is authentically me. This is love. Right? This is the super glue that holds everything together. It's self-love, as we kind of saw with the 6 of Cups. It's divine love, romantic love, platonic love. Okay? Because I feel that when you have this commitment to your purpose, it kind of shows in everything you do. Everybody you talk to, everybody you meet, everything in life is kind of held together by your love for this particular path. And I feel like it's really kind of bleeding out into everything else around you. And it's not anything super specific. Again, we can't see the top of the mountain. I don't know really what it looks like. Maybe you just have this general idea of the path that you're supposed to be on, the destiny that you have before you. And so it could be, well, doing something with photography. How am I going to, how am I going to create through my photography? How am I going to change the world through my photography? What do I want to do with that? Well, we don't know exactly all the time. We don't have that hardcore plan set in stone, but we're going to take the opportunities as they come. We're going to learn from all of the setbacks. We're going to overcome the challenges because we want to keep going on this path. We don't have to know exactly what our jobs are going to be down the road. But it's that thing, it's that idea that you're so connected to. But right now in the environment, you got your 7. There's the feeling of kind of being stuck here, right? The 7 of Cups in the position of your relationships, the position of your environment. So it looks like we're slowing down. We kind of got stuck in the mud here, and this, I think, is again a natural kind of place to be. in our journey, right? But the longer we linger, whether you're in the middle or the beginning or close to the end of your path, I don't really think there is necessarily an end, but you might have specific goals in mind, that you're working on building up your portfolio. That's the goal right now, or whatever it is, right? We may feel that right now we're kind of stuck, that we're not moving, we're not progressing toward that goal. The longer we linger here, the more we sort of feel like we're sinking, the more we get stuck. The longer you wait before getting back on the horse, kind of less likely you're ever going to do it. It's kind of like when you fall off your bike. My daughter, of maybe 5 or 10 minutes, she'll say, "Let's get on the bike." But if she doesn't get back on it within a few minutes, most likely she's not going to want to ride it for a few days. She's kind of done with it, And if that's the case, that's the case. I don't force her to do it. We may encourage it, and say, "Well, let's get on. Let's try again. Let's go over here and ride over on. Let's go to the park and do it or something, right? To make it more fun, to make it something more appealing about it." Okay, because if she's on the driveway and she falls down on the driveway, she's maybe not going to want to get back on the bike and be on the driveway again. So we say, "Hey, let's go to the park and ride." "Oh yeah, okay," right? Because the point is we want to get started again as soon as possible, because it's going to be more difficult to get back on the bicycle, back on the horse, to get moving again the longer we linger, right? The longer we linger, it's going to take more effort to start. It's kind of like we're starting with that, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step, and that step is always the hardest step. Well, once we take that step, let's keep the momentum going as much as we can. If we stop for too long, we got to take that big, difficult first step again. It's like when I kind of slack off on my exercise, I stop riding the recumbent bike for a couple days or a couple weeks, it's much more difficult for me to get started again. Whereas if, I maybe take a day off or two and I get right back on, it's easier to keep going, okay? And you're being motivated, of course, by this the Two of Cups, yes, leading to the Lover's card. Because see, this is what is behind this. This is the reason why we want the union. We love this path. We love this this idea, whatever you're doing, whatever your goals are. There's so much love there that we're saying, heck yes, 1,000%. But that's the question that you're having to ask yourself. Is this union, is coming together with this thing worth the challenges? Worth the difficulties that I'll face? Because if we understand what we want and why we want it, it's kind of like, and it doesn't have to be super specific. If we understand kind of why we want it so bad, then we'll endure the Seven of Pentacles. It doesn't matter how I have to do it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to live this life. I'm going to pursue this course of action because it means something to me. Okay? And then, of course, we have our Princess of Swords, who is the student, learning from these challenges, always growing, always recalibrating and making the adjustments, always trying to understand more and more about the path, always being okay with, well, not being okay necessarily, but, well, yeah, no, I'm going to stick with my original phrase, being okay with falling down, being okay with falling off the bike once in a while. If you really love bike riding and you want to ride the bike, you don't know if you're going to be a BMX star or just a off-road kind of cyclist or a weekend cyclist or a racing bicycle or a trick, you're doing tricks with, but the bike, something with the bike, right? If you love it that much, then I know I'm going to fall down a lot, especially if you're going to be one of them BMX people, right? Doing all these tricks and flips and things. It's crazy. You're going to fall down. I'm sure you fall down a lot, right? But if you love it that much, you're going to be okay with that, and you're going to learn. Every time you fall down, you're going to learn something, even unconsciously. We don't have to write a report on it, but unconsciously, your body's going to learn, okay, well, don't put my foot there anymore. And we have to have this attitude of being that kind of forging ahead through the obstacles, through the difficulties. Let's look at the mystery card before this thing gets out of my control and we end up going into the 1 hour zone. I feel like the mystery card should be, I don't know, some perseverance, maybe your Leo power card. Yeah, The lust or strength card. How about that? If you have a prediction, put it in the comments. Let's see what we have. The Sun card. Carry on, our wayward son. Right? Carry on, our wayward son. I think this is perfect. This is that, well, one, this is that glory, right? This is that, the realization, the sense of destiny, the sense of, don't quit. We may feel as if we've kind of gone astray. We've lost our way a little bit. We've come to an obstacle. We've fallen down. We're kind of sitting in the dirt, like we've met with an obstacle or a little f failure. This is the card that says you are meant for this. This is your essence. This is your authentic path. Carry on, right? And well, there'll be peace when you're done, right? I think that is, this is perfect. And I think this is really saying that you're going to get to the top of the hill too. That you're going to see what's up there. You're going to be basking in the sunshine. That these are temporary little swamps, little, puddles of mud that you're in, right? And you're going to shine in this glory. And this kind of card is, well, it's clearing away all the weather. All the mud, right, is going to be everything's going to be beautiful on this path, Even when we are dealing with the weather, the clouds, the storms, the swamps, the mud, we realize that the sun is still shining just as bright as it was before the storm clouds rolled in. The sun is always shining, and this is you. This is you. This is yourself, your true self. Okay. Shining in all of its radiance. I love this. Perfect confirmation. We're going to do an extended reading as well. If you want to stick around, we're going to do an I Ching hexagram. We're going to do some oracle cards. There's a link up top. There's a link down below. New readings for Leo, usually on Tuesdays and Saturdays. Feel like you needed a bonus reading. Yeah, I'm glad we did it. But be sure to watch your other two readings. If you want to watch the extended readings over at the website, go to doveandserpenttarot.com. You can also find me on Patreon. And you can also go and watch the full-length readings over there, too. Okay? Something new that I'm I'm starting to kind of roll that out. Putting the main readings on the website and on Patreon. Okay? Check out my wife's channel, Ula Tea Leaf Readings. She does zodiac sign readings as well. Yeah. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet. These readings are totally free. Leave a comment. Let me know where in the world you're watching from. I want you to know that you're the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you. And we're all in this together.